stabilizing, or is it growing? And I don't know what yours is. It's probably stabilizing. If not, I think it probably is stabilizing. That's a good asset when you go to get a superintendent, because they know they won't have to be involved in a lot of, hopefully, downsizing and things of that nature. Okay, now we can move into some of the particulars here. If you'll go to tab 2, we don't have to go through all this other material here. Tab 2 is the notice of position vacancy. And the notice of position vacancy, this simply says to people who may be interested, hey, we have this position open for superintendent, and it's in this county. These are the things you want to put, these are the things we as a board have placed within our notice of position vacancy. Now, this is one that we've used over the last several years. It was actually developed initially by us and then perfected by Bowles Rice over a number of years. I'll tell you some of the areas it got perfected in. The first thing is qualifications. You have to have the right qualifications in West Virginia, as you do with other states, of course, to be a superintendent. This tells the applicant what those qualifications are. Now, they're kind of cumbersome, but you have to have a certain degree, certain credentials, certain qualifications that are they're all set out in code, actually, before you can become a superintendent. Now, one of the things that we're seeing, and this might not happen here, but one of the things we're seeing in some of the counties is we're seeing people who are moving right from the principalship into the superintendency, and that we might want to talk about that in a moment. That has good points, and it also has points that need to be discussed a little bit further. So anyway, qualifications is listed here. That tells the applicant, again, these are the things you need to possess in order to be the superintendent. Now, residency's been changed over the years. It used to be you had to be a resident of the county when you immediately applied for the position, but now it says you have to be a resident during his or her tenure, satisfy the statutory reference requirement for county superintendent, which requires that you be a member of the county or a contiguous county in West Virginia. Now, there are no superintendents except in state takeover counties that are in contiguous counties. In other words, if you're in Lincoln and you're not under state takeover, likely you'll be, well, unless the board decides otherwise, you'll be residing here as superintendent, although you do have that ability to reside outside the county. Now that I think about that, I believe the superintendent in Pendleton County lives in Grant County because it's a neighboring county. In fact, I know he does. So there is one example beyond the takeover county. And that's been an arrangement agreed to with her by that particular board, the Pendleton board. Then the duties, they're all separated. We already talked about those. They're enumerated in the code. The duties of the superintendent are spelled out, at least the statutory duties. Now, you can elaborate upon those, of course, by your own policies, by agreements with the board, by the contract. There's even a provision in code that's little utilized, but says that you can provide, the superintendent can be required to provide and certain reports in the way the board wants to get reports on like dropout rates and things like that. And you can put that in the contract. You can simply say, under law now, you can say, this is our contract we have. We want these certain pieces of data provided to us under a certain framework, and you can put that in the contract. So that's why it's got those things listed there. Then we have the term of employment. Well, the term of election, I say election would be 1 to 4 years. Typically, and this is no hard and fast rule, this is not a school board association rule, we typically recommend that the first tenure be 2 years. Now, again, your situation might be different. You may want 3 or 4, but we typically recommend 2 years. And that works out pretty well. Most boards do that anymore. Some boards do give a 4-year contract, but that goes over 2 board elections, and there's very few boards, any board that do that. It's wrong, I think, patently wrong to give a 1-year contract, especially if somebody's moving from out of the county. They don't know their situation. Maybe it almost says, you know, we're taking a chance on you rather than we're electing you as superintendent. So I'd say 2 years is an average time. That's my own philosophy. Nobody holds anybody to that, but that's what I personally think. 2 years is a good time to begin. Then we list all the benefits, particularly if you're from out of county and you have benefits that some counties do not provide. It is good to list the benefits. If they're from out of state, which there will be probably some people who apply who are out of state, if they're from out of state, they may want to know what kind of benefits we provide statutorily, which we do provide a lot of benefits statutorily. They may want to know that. They may want to know the local benefits you have, or these candidates may. So that's why we put benefits in here. And again, if you're already a school employee or have been one, you know that most of these are statutory. But they look pretty good when they're put down on paper. That's what I will have to say. They look pretty good. And then, of course, if you have certain insurances that you provide above and beyond, like dental, things of that, and optical dental, that's really good to have in there. Now, only one board in this state that I know of has a local retirement plan, and that's Wood. Now, do you all have one? I don't know if you do or not.
Yes. We have
Okay, good, good,
Very
good.
small one.
Good. Well, that's very good, because that's another benefit too that you can put in here, because most boards don't have that, to my knowledge. At least that's what I've been told. Now, I may be wrong about that, but Wood, we recently did their search, and that was a selling point for the person who came superintendent there. So that is a good point. Then we get into the application procedure, and what I like to do, and I recommend you do, is put this online. In other words, they fill it out online through a program we have that you can complete it online. In other words, you can start the application. You can then go back to it if you don't get it finished all at one point. And this allows you to get it, 2 or 3 things happen that way. One, and I think the most important, is you get the same application for everyone. You don't have a lot of resumes to read that may be 39 pages versus 3. You get the same data in the same way. Now, some board members say, well, why can't they just fill it out, type it out or whatever? That's up to your board. Wood County, we recently did theirs. They said, if you can't do it on computer, we don't want it. But other boards I'm doing, Pocahontas now, they said, it doesn't matter to us as long as we get the same format for all the applications. So anyway, that's something you need to do a little bit, talk a little bit about. And then we get all the applications, they come to our office. They come under the name of the School Board Association. And once we get the applications in, then we overnight them to you, or we deliver them. We probably deliver them here. We would overnight them to you, and you would then know who all's applied, the number of applications you have. They've already filled it out, by the procedure for filling it out. They fill it out, it's emailed to our office. Then you'll have that data and that information. You'll get it all on the same day. And then once you get that information, then you begin to figure out how to go through and determine who you want to screen, how you want to screen the applicants and that sort of thing. But we're not to that point yet. Now, here's the role of the association. We've had to put this in here because we had to clarify what our role was. Our role is more or less administrative and clerical, and it's not a policy role. We in no way will say this is the best candidate or anything of that nature. You're not hiring us. You can think on your own. You're not hiring us to do that. What we'll do is we will set up a process, and we do set this process up, that we feel is the best way for you to determine from among the applicants who the best candidate is. And in your case, you'll need to submit 3 names to Dr. Payne. In other words, you'll come up with 3 different names. And you'll rank order those names in the way you think those individuals should be recommended to him for election as your superintendent. Now we talked last week about this, Dr. Payne and I did, for about an hour or so. The way he would like to do that is, once you get the full number of names you have, then you go through the procedure just like we always do it. But at the very end, you rank the candidates. Like I feel this person we feel by the board is top candidate, second and third. Then Dr. Payne will receive those rankings. He'll receive all the data that you all received. He'll receive the data we put together through interviews and things like that. And then he will make the ultimate selection of a person that for the superintendent's position. That's why he reiterated that he hopes that this is a thorough process so that he can validate the selection in the rank order that you all make your determination. So that's very important. That's why this has to be done in a very good way for you, and as we do these, and you will do these too, this has to be done in a good way for him to make the selection. So that's why, I get back to what I said a moment ago, that's why I said a 2-year term is probably a pretty good